Hello guys, it's Kristaps, and today we will talk about how to open a business, how to start a business, and how to open a car wash, because I can tell you about car wash more because I have small car wash myself. So how to open business? Well, it's really not too hard if you know what to do. You can run it as self-employed, which I would advise you to start with, or you can run it as a limited company. All right. If you don't want hassle to submit documents, like do reviews end of the year and everything, and pay slips for limited company, I suggest you to hire an accountant. Accountant will cost you roughly £600 a year. That's in 2025, 2026, depends when you're watching this video. All right. But for limited company, laws are changing all the time. For example, you will need to pay a pension for yourself, and you have more increased costs for limited company. So cheaper is to run as self-employed. The benefit of running self-employed is that it will be cheaper. Also, accountant will be cheaper, roughly £200 a year, 2026, 2025, because it's simple, it's easier, all right? But for self-employed, you risk most for yourself more, you understand? For example, if I have an expensive car, like Ferrari, arriving at my car wash, and and it happens that we damage it, which we don't damage cars, but if it does happen, then for a Ferrari, if you are a limited company and you have no money to fix it, and insurance refuse you to fix it, because you have to have business insurance no matter what, whether you are self-employed or business limited company, then if you have limited company, then you kind of can go bankrupt, to avoid fixing it, which is not nice, but at least you protect yourself a little bit more, because all their claims will go against your limited company, you understand, instead of you personally. But if you run it as a self-employed or sole trader, then you are solely responsible by yourself. So if you damage a car or something and insurance refuse to pay for some reason, then you will need to fix by yourself that car, and all your assets, what you have, your own car, if you have a property, everything will be just taken away, to cover that expensive car. So of course I can suggest you, if you run a car wash, just say no to expensive cars if you can't be sure you won't damage it, But I run car wash like 8 years, and we never damaged the car. We had the claims from customers that we did damage, but it's always good to put CCTV cameras and show to these people that when they drive into your car wash, their car is already damaged or scratched, if you can prove, So you will need always little tricks, to find the ways to tell them that the car was already damaged, unless you genuinely damaged the car. If that's the case, you better tell that to customer, and then yes, it will cost you money, but you fix it because it's your fault. All right. Don't run immediately to insurance, because that will increase your insurance premiums if you keep claiming something, So for opening business, any business really, so you need to know what you want to do, and you decide if you can take the risk on yourself, or you can't take risk on yourself. Then you run as a limited company, you are just a director on it, and you play safe for yourself, all right? But limited company will cost you more, okay? Maybe you are very successful, so it doesn't matter for you, because if you earn 10,000, 15,000 per year, or you earn 60,000 per year, it's roughly the same cost for limited company, But if you earn 10 or to 15,000 per year, then that money you will pay for limited company hits you more than if you run 60,000. Let's say £2,000 per year, roughly, for limited company without accountant, from your 10,000 leaves you with 8 or 7.5 thousand per year. You understand? Where for 60,000 leaves you with 57,000 pounds per year. So you understand. So it depends how big you are. The bigger you are, the easier for you it is to run limited company, and therefore take less on your own name. Because if you're self-employed, then everything is on your name, but it is cheaper. For self-employed, current costs 2025-2026 would be around 1,200 a year, and to run it. And for accountants, roughly £200. So it is the cheapest possible way when you take risk on your own. Obviously, you need to insure any business what you do. For car wash, if you insure just yourself, for example, it's only you washing cars, no one else, then the cheapest insurance I could find was £70 to £80 a year. Once you have staff, it doesn't matter they are employees or subcontractors. Subcontractor means they are not officially employed by you, by your company, but they work on their own self-employed basis. They just give you invoice, you pay them according to the invoice. Then doesn't matter if it's staff or subcontractors, you will have to pay as if you have a staff. Then your insurance will be around £450-500 per year. Well, but they insure you for up to £1 million or more. So yes, you can damage expensive cars, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Rolls-Royce, but again, insurance always, they do everything they can not to pay you. So this is a game of luck. If they pay, okay. If not, then you will have to pay by yourself, which is the biggest risk. So this was the advice in general, how to open a business. So literally start working. If you are self-employed, yes, you can figure out by yourself. It's not that hard. It's about 2 hours per year. That's all there is to submit all the information. For example, you have expenses. You keep receipts for the end of the year, and you have income. You mark everything down, and then you show government, oh, this was my income, these were my expenses. All right. So you calculate the profit, then they'll tell you how much tax to pay, and you can do by yourself. If you want to play safe, you are scared to make mistakes, or you can't be bothered to do it because you're too busy, concentrated for your business. If that's the case, then hire accountant. For self-employed, it's only 200 a year. She doesn't need, or he, to sit on your business premises, like proper accountant, salaried and this and that. There are accountants who just look after small businesses like these. They take like maybe 5,000 different businesses, and they do the job for them. All right. They sit at their own home property or wherever they run business from. You just arrive once a year with your documents, give them bank statements, everything, because you need separate bank account for your business, so you don't mix up with your own money. All right. So it's easy also for accountant, opening separate bank account for business doesn't cost anything in UK. Just use it just for business purposes. All right. And it's also easier on a statement for accountant, to see the money flow in and out. All right. So it's not that expensive. Okay. Accountant can help you on that. Well, obviously, you have to consider if you want to accept cards or it's cash only business, because by law in UK you can accept only cash, you can accept only card payments, or you can accept both. So it doesn't really matter, you know. But if you accept cash, then it's up to you how you show how much it was. For example, I'm doing all cash takings I bring into the bank, you know, every week, deposit into that business account, and that's my takings. And then I use a card. It's quite mandatory that you use a card wherever possible to pay for petrol if you have petrol generators, petrol jet wash, to pay for your solutions, chemicals, and everything by card or bank transfer, so accountant can see, and government, how the money is going, you know. Because the more you use cash, the more suspicious you are, because cash is more difficult to follow. So try to play safe, you know, to avoid any trouble. All right. For card payments, it depends. It really depends, because card payments are expensive. I calculated that for me to accept card payments for cash machine, I would need to wash 30 cars a year for free, because that money will just go to cover the card payment costs, you know. Would you really want to do that, you know, wash for free, you know, 30 cars just to cover card payments, you know? So it's down to you. For example, currently we refuse maybe 17 customers per year because they solely want to pay by card. Then I still win, you know. If we will refuse more than 30 cars a year because they solely want to pay by card, then I may consider card machine, you know. But I don't want to work for free, and who wants to work for free? So this is information in general about opening business. Now I go more specific for car wash, you know. So if you decided to open a car wash, then I can tell from my own experience how it went. The most difficult thing for opening a car wash, because opening car wash is relatively cheaper than to open any other business. You don't need too much money to start it. For example, if you want to start kebab, that will cost you roughly £25,000. You need it, you know, for all the equipment, you know, steel, fryers, you know, everything, you know. It's so expensive to start kebab, you know. But yes, it's good money once you start, and if you know what you're doing, you know. Some people, they can't even do it because they don't know how to do kebab, you know. So car wash would be cheaper to start, but that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is to find a space where to wash a car. And for me, it was quite difficult, you know. Maybe for you it's easier if you have connections and friends and this and that. Even family can help, you know, somebody hear this, somebody hear that, you know. So at the end of the day, you reach the point where you find a place and you can just start a business. But that was the most difficult thing. Really, what you need, the biggest minimum what you would need to run a car wash, the minimum, absolute minimum, would be 3 car parking spaces. So the size of where you can park 3 cars. Because in one space, or 1.5 space, you will park your trailer with all the equipment inside, and right next to it you will wash your one car. Okay, so that is absolute minimum for you to start. That's what you need, unless they provide a box or lockable storage room or something like that where you can keep your stuff, you know. That's down to landlord how nice they are. Also, you need the absolute minimum. What you would need is water tap, you know. You don't really need even electricity because you can generate. You just buy a petrol generator. I suggest you to buy brandy ones, but I will make another video actually on site with car wash to show you all the equipment around, what you need. But my advice, guys, is always to buy a brandy one, such a Honda for petrol stuff, and Karcher for electricity. You know, if for example landlord gives you electricity that means you can go for Karcher, you know, which in my opinion is one of the top of the market for pressure washers with electricity. But if you need to generate, then in my opinion, top of the market will be Honda pressure washer or generator, you know, for petrol. And petrol jet wash will always be stronger than electricity one. If you buy cheap stuff like from China or something like that, yes, you pay less money to buy it, but you will keep fixing it because it will keep breaking down all the time. But if you buy brandy stuff, such as Honda, then you will need to fix much less. It will last longer because the parts are more robust and everything. I tried everything, you know, and I just kept fixing the cheap stuff when you go for Honda and it's a better quality, you understand. Honda makes just engines, you know. So for petrol generator, for electricity, they have a contract with another company, Clark, and they put together, and that's your electricity generator. And then for pressure washers or jet wash, Honda makes contract with Evolution, who is making pumps, and they put together and you have pressure washer. Okay, this is part 1 for the video how to open business, how to start car wash. There will be second part following up, so if you are interested, subscribe. It's not just that, we will be making videos on other subjects as well, such as self-defense, martial arts, such as gym advice, nutrition advice, dating advice as well, travel advice, and this channel will be made together with my son Gustav's as well. Okay, see you soon. That's it from me today. Thank you, guys.